welcome to Better Than Bowyer. Before we get started, let's check in on the Prediction League leaderboard. Stafford Bantam keeps his place at the top, but Bantam 2708 jumps 2 places to join him. Arcow, meanwhile, rises 1 place to third. The last match joint leader, Pablo, falls 3 places to fourth. Still pretty tight though, and if you'd like to get involved with the Prediction League, take a look at the link in the description, where you will find all the information on how to enter, the rules, and the scoring system. It's free to enter, you just need to create a forum account. And with that, let's roll the titles. Welcome to game week 26 in the Sky Bet League 2. Today we travel down to Swindon to take on Swindon Town, whose form's been a bit patchy. They've had 1 win and 4 draws in the last 5 matches, and they currently occupy the last playoff position place in 7th. Before we take a look at teams though, let's look at the news since the last match. Before we do though, let's just cover something. When I started the save, the idea was it was going to be a 1-season challenge. However, I have actually been enjoying the save and have been considering taking on to 2nd season to see how we can do in League 1. I would still do the videos, but as a more conventional save, so we wouldn't cover every single match, and we obviously wouldn't have the Prediction League running alongside it. Unless, of course, we don't get football again until next year. However, because of the initial intention, I left my director of football to do all the contract renewals, after it didn't matter what he offered them and which players he kept, as I wasn't going to play a 2nd season. However, now with my plans potentially changing, it's come back to bite me a little bit. We're now into January, and this is where the players are getting offered new deals. There's going to be players I would have liked to have kept who are probably going to turn down deals, and there's going to be players who I don't want to keep who are going to accept deals. Certainly with a lot of the youngsters, I perhaps haven't given enough first team chances to develop properly, and they're going to turn down deals because of that, but they could have been useful in future seasons. And the first one of these is Jordan Gibson. He rejected a deal that John Ward's presented to him and looks like he's likely to leave. I can understand it because he was promised to be a breakthrough prospect. I should have probably given him more time, and he has some potential, but I just had no need to develop him, so I haven't been risking him. The deal he was offered as well drops him down to only a fringe player, so I can understand as well why he wasn't happy with it. It's also asking him to take a massive pay cut because he's currently on 2,200 a week, and then dropping him down to 600. Next up, we have Daniel Francis, our young 17-year-old fullback, rejecting a contract. If we have a quick look at his stats, not the biggest loss in the world. He's got a potential of 2.5 star, so he's not going to set the world alight. He does have pretty good physicals though, which is useful for the way we play our wing backs. Mind you, with a marking of 5, we might have actually developed him more into a winger than a fullback. The next one up is Hayden Smethurst. This is one which I am a bit disappointed about, as we've actually given him some chances in some of the cup games this season. He's a 3-star potential, and while he needs a lot of work on his technical and mental attributes, his physical ones are pretty good, and he's got 10 determination and 11 work rate, so he would actually work hard on those. He might not have actually made it in the end, but it depends on how much money we're going to have to spend. Especially with the lack of money going to come in from the players we're losing, we might have to rely on a lot of the young players to fill the gaps in the squad. So he would have been useful. Next up, we have what in theory is a good piece of news because someone's actually signed a deal, but I'm not sure it is in reality. Danny Devine has signed a new contract. It only takes to the end of the season though, but it means for these last 6 months, we go from paying him £600 a week to £975 a week, which is quite a big jump. It does give us an optional contract extension, but for 1 year. That might come in useful if we can't bring new players in because we are a bit low on midfielders, but all in all it's an odd one, and I'm surprised the supporters were happy about it. And now we're back to rejections, this time it being Joe Riley. Bit of a shame because while in real life he didn't really set the world alight and he's been now injured all this season, he actually fits the attributes that I like in my fullbacks, so he would have actually probably got a lot of games next season, and I think he could have done a job in League 1, but almost certainly we're going to have to do without him. This next rejection is an odd one. Asked me at the beginning of the save if I'd be unhappy if he left, and I'd be happy to get him off the wage bill. However, he's turned into a really important part of this team. You just have to look at some of the stats it says here, where he's got an 83% pass completion ratio. He's made 24 dribbles. It's been really useful, and the team started playing a lot better the minute we put him in. My director of football offered him a massive pay rise and made him a regular starter, but he turned it down, which is going to be a problem. I also kind of worry that maybe this might make his performances drop off as well. Bit of good news is O'Donnell has signed a new deal. He's taken a £100 a week pay cut, and he's dropped his agreed playing time down to only being backup. We haven't really used him because McGee's been so much better. However, McGee's only on loan, and we probably won't be able to get him back, so it's a good solid backup. And as he's happy being back up, means we can still try and find a better keeper to go ahead of him. We've also got an optional 1-year extension on him as well. Next up, signed new deal is Clayton Donaldson. I'm a bit up in the air on this one. Early on this season, he got us through a lot of games. I think he's still top scorer in the league as well, but his performances had really dropped off, and he's 35 Is he going to be able to do well in League One? He has agreed to take a £800 pay cut though, and he's dropped his playing time down to an impact sub. We also have a 1 year extension available, but he has an automatic triggered one if he plays 15 games next season as well. Next up, we're back to rejections, and this is one I'm pretty sure most City fans are happy about. Hope Akpan has turned down our deal. We haven't really played him that much, so it's not a massive loss, and I don't really think he's good enough even for League Two, let alone League One. As I said over Divine, though, we do lack central midfielders. We're going to have to bring in an awful lot of new ones, else we're going to be really short on numbers. So maybe Akpan as a backup that we don't really play would have been useful. And then next up, we got Meta sign new deal. This is quite a good deal. My problem with him, though, is consistency. He can play well for like 88 minutes, and then he has 2 minutes where he just makes mistakes left, right, and centre. Fullback is a position we will have a lack of numbers in, though, so getting him signed is a good thing. And he dropped his wages from 2.3k a week to 1.8, which is obviously going to help. Our next rejection is Ismail. This is a mistake on my part, really. I really haven't played him enough, and he's actually quite a good player. The two players probably ahead of him are DeVitt and Connolly. However, both of them are on loan to us, so we're going to lose them next season, which means we haven't really got a right winger now. Again, if we play second season, we're going to have to really work on getting some right wingers in, because we're not going to have any at the club. Unless, of course, we move to a wingerless system, because we're not going to have anyone on the left either, because Middleton's going to go back to Rangers. Our next rejection is another one of our youngsters, Elliot Goldthorpe. This is one which is a bit of a problem. We've given him some games in the Cups and he's done well. And if we would have a look at his stats, you'll see he has real potential. So if you have a look at what my coaches think his potential ability is, you will notice he's got 3 gold stars and 1 black. The gold stars are what they're sure of, and the black means they're uncertain, but they think he might be able to reach that. So he's a potentially 4-star player, and he's already a 1.5 star in current ability. If you have a look at his technical stats, got some good ones for midfield, especially first touch and passing and technique. And with 12 on long shots and 14 on free kicks, he's going to score a lot of long range shots and a lot of free kicks. On the mental side of things, he's quite well rounded. His aggression's a bit high, so it might be a bit of a Lee Cattermole. He get a lot of red cards, and his determination should be higher. It's going to limit his development a little bit. It's certainly something you can work with. His physicals, he's only 17, so you can't put too much faith in these, but with a stamina of 12, balance of 12, and strength of 10, they're good starting attributes for a central midfielder. I think by the time he's 19, he'll be pushing for a first team place for certain wherever he goes, maybe even at a higher level than this. Next up to reject our contract offer is 17-year-old centre back Jorge Sikora. My coaches think he's only a 1.5 to 2.5 star potential, so I don't think he's going to make it, but I'm not sure if I trust them, because looking at his stats, his mentals and physicals especially are pretty good, and he's got 15 determination, so he will try hard to make it. I guess his technicals are quite weak though, and he is injury prone, so it's not like I'm going to really be that bothered about losing him. And then next up is Finn Cousin-Dawson, a 17-year-old centre back again. My coaches think he's a better prospect than Sikora at 2 to 3 stars. He has the stats in more relevant places, though his determination isn't as good, so he's probably not going to improve as much. He's someone, if I am going to continue to save though, I would have liked to have kept. Next up is Dylan Motley Henry. He's got nowhere near the starting 11, even though we've got a lack of wingers, so I'm not really sure it's a big loss. And it's a similar thing with Jermaine Anderson, who's turned down his deal. He's only played 4 times, and while he's not been awful, he's only really been used when there's injuries. Bigger problem is Adam Henley, who's turned down his. It's a really good option to have because he can play on both full-back sides. As backup, he's already played 17 times. Says a lot about how versatile he is. He certainly is one of the players I would like to have kept. And finally, we have Chris Taylor. He hasn't really played much, so it's not a massive loss, but he does play in about 7 different positions, so he's always handy to have on the bench. Hopefully we can bring in better players than him though. We'll need it for League One. And that's the last of the contract news. Next up though, we had FA Cup match against Mansfield. Second time in recent weeks that we've played Mansfield, and I think we played with 3 in the last month and a bit. Stuart McCall will certainly be wanting to get revenge on the previous match. Injuries, we went with a pretty solid team of McGee, Mellor, O'Connor, Powdy, Wood, Pritchard, Cook, Middleton, DeVitt, McCartan and Novak. Ideally we wanted to rotate it a little bit, but we couldn't really afford to with the injuries, and we don't really want to knock our confidence, especially as Mansfield have been in better form since McCall came in. It really didn't start very well, and that was summed up on the 23rd minute when Mellor makes a really poor clearance. Rose then lays it off to Chelsea, who hits a fantastic strike from the edge of the box. McGee was never saving it. We continued to struggle for the rest of the half, and to make matters worse, not long after this goal went in, Pritchard got injured, and it seems like it might be quite bad. In the half-time team talk, I got really angry at him, and they came out and played much better straight away, and within the first 5 minutes, we won a free kick, which DeVitt lined up the take. I really wasn't expecting much because, like the rest of his game, he struggled on free kicks. But with this one, he hit it sweetly, gets it over the wall and inside the post. Good goal, and we're back in the game. We get a better idea of how pinpoint perfect it was from behind the goal. And then on the 85th minute, with the game looking like it was going to go to a replay, Taylor hits this wonderful volley from the corner. It's his first goal of the season. And it had me thinking maybe I should have played him a bit more. From behind the goal, let's just look at the technique as this gets headed out. Absolutely perfect volley. I was very relieved because we played Mansfield enough already this season. We still have another league game to come. After the game, though, we found out how bad Pritchard's injury was. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks with sprained knee ligament. It's going to be a pretty big loss going in these important next 2 months. Hopefully, Reeves can step up and no one else gets injured. In the FA Cup 4th round draw, we got drawn at home against either Bristol City or West Brom. Be interested to see who wins that one. I probably prefer Bristol City. I think it's a more winnable game. And the final bit of news is in Team of the Week, McGee and Cook both make it. They both deserved it, both been really good in the last couple of weeks. Anyway, with that busy week of news now covered, let's have a look at the lineups for today's game. As we've already seen, Pritchard's out of the game. Reeves comes in. Apart from that, it's unchanged. So it's McGee in goal, Wood, O'Connor, and Mellor in defence. Cook and Reeves in midfield. Middleton, DeVitt on the wings. McCartan and Novak up top. On the bench, we've got O'Donnell, Henley, Staunton, Devine, Connolly, Guthrie, and Taylor. For the team talk, I'm going to go with a passionate, come on lads, let's keep this run going. For the defence, I'm going to say assertively, I have faith in you. And the midfield, I'm probably going to do the same. And again, attack. And I'm going to say, I want to go and score some goals. Cook picks up the ball in midfield, places it to Reeves. Reeves sweeps it out to Wood, who's run down the wing, gets to the byline, crosses early and DeVitt on the back post, but he heads it over the bar. Wood gets on the ball and just hoofs it upfield, but Novak's going to get onto this. He's running into the channel. Can he do something with it? He holds the ball up, pulls it back to Middleton. Middleton looks inside, finds Cook. Cook in Novak. Novak back to Cook. Cook shoots just wide. Mellor on the ball, cuts inside, takes on defender, and goes past him with ease, but it's an easy save for the keeper. DeVitt on the ball, fires the ball across field, but it's a poor ball, and Isgrove intercepts it. He drives forward, plays the ball through to Yates. Yates shoots, and it was saved by the woodwork, and Mellor hacks it clear. So defence is very well positioned. We have Powdy who can square up to Isgrove, and O'Connor able to track Yates' run, with Wood and Mellor able to tuck in for cover. O'Connor just isn't tight enough. Powdy closes down well. It's a wonderful ball by Isgrove, but he gives him that yard that he needs to get the shot off first time, and it rattles off the woodwork. Massive let off. Mellor driving forward, looks up, sees DeVitt's run, plays him in, looks to take on Zeki Fries. Zeki Fries brings him down as penalty. So Mellor plays a lovely slide ball into DeVitt's run. DeVitt drives into the box, cuts across Zeki and buys the foul. You can see here how DeVitt's best the pace forces Zeki into tackle. He cannot win. Overhead, you can see that when we pause it, that DeVitt doesn't have many options. All he can do is drive into this space, knowing that either Zeki thinks better, giving him a shot from a narrow angle, or commits Zeki to tackle before a certain penalty. It's really smart play. Something we need more from DeVitt. He certainly is more than capable. Novak takes a few steps back, runs forward, drives it low in the bottom corner. That's how you take a penalty. It's his 12th goal of the season. From behind the goal, you can see what a well-taken penalty is. Keeperston, no chance. Powdy back to McGee. McGee fires it long upfield. Novak does well to take control of the ball and plays it back to Wood. Wood looks to drive forward. Takes on Isgrove. Isgrove with a tackle. Both players look hurt though. Wood is going to have to come off. Not a change that I wonder they have to be making, but it's a fairly obvious choice that Henry will come on left back. Carries running forward with the ball. Middleton with a perfect time tackle and it falls to Cook. Cook looks up and sees DeVitt's run. DeVitt moves towards the D. Unleashes under a shot, hits the upright and trickles along the goal line. How did that not go in? In the replay, we actually see that Reeves makes it harder for DeVitt by running in the same space. It may even force DeVitt to shoot sooner than he would have liked. It's well struck though, and the key has to keep beaten. So unlucky it doesn't go in the north post. On sideline view, you can see how close it came, and it's a shame he didn't follow it in, because he could have got there. Mellor to throw. Finds McCartan down the wing. Drives forward. McCartan pulls it back to Mellor. Cuts inside, before back hitting it to Reeves. Reeves plays it to Cook. Cook plays it back to Reeves and then Reeves back to Cook again. Before Cook looks up and loops over the top to DeVitt. DeVitt says fires the dummy. Crosses towards Novak. Kester's brilliant to clear the danger. Mellor to O'Connor. O'Connor dawdles on the ball and Yates steals it from him. Has a clear run at goal. Shapes to curve it into the far corner. Makes a hash of it though and the keeper saves it. It was right at him. Grant sweeps the ball out to Caddis. Caddis has space to attack. Squares up Henley. Before crossing the ball towards Yates. Yates gets under the ball and heads it over the bar. Henry with the throw. Goes long again. Novak leaps like a salmon, wins the header, but he can't find target. Bees to whip in the free kick. Finds McCartan in acres. McCartan with the volley, but he can't get the direction, and the keeper holds it. Palmer places the free kick square. Yates strikes it from 20 yards out. McGee tips it over the bar. That might have been destined in the top corner. When Yates gets it, it's ambitious. From this angle, it's actually more central than it seemed. Still needs a smart save from McGee though. So at half time, we've had 8 shots there, 6. 2 clear-cut chances there, 1. Possession is fairly even at 51 to 49 in our favour. 78% of our passes have been successful. We've won 86% of our tackles, but only 46% of our headers. Now it's time for our regular half-time feature. Is DeVitt the worst player on the pitch? No, he's not. That's Middleton on 6.4. For once, that's not a surprise. He's been great today. What is surprising is Reeves is deemed the best performer, but he only has a 6.9. Not sure what rating DeVitt is on. It's not shown on his screen, but I also expect at least a 7. For team talk, we'll go with passionate, and then we've played well, but there's room for improvement. For the defenders, I would say passionately that there's a lot more to come from you as well. And for midfield, we're going to go for the same as well. And attack, once again, go for passionate and more to come. Palmer with the free kick on the left. Whips it in. Edmonds Green with the header, but it's right at McGee, and he collects it calmly. McGee punts the ball upfield, but he fails to find Novak. Grant picks up the ball from Callis's header, tries to find Broadbent. Brilliant anticipation by McCartan. Plays the ball in Novak. Novak's in. His lack of pace, though, lets the defenders get back. But brilliant doming to evade two defenders. But his shot is woeful. Doesn't even hit the target. Raises a free kick. Aims towards Cook. Cook leaves hiding defenders, but it's tipped around the post by the keeper. As the ball comes in, Cook is well marked, but it's a well-timed leap by him, and defenders don't stand a chance. Keeper has to be alert, though, and he was. If we pause it when the ball reaches around the penalty spot, we see Cook errs off the ground while both defenders are planted. It's way too easy for him. There are my defenders, I'd be disappointed with that. Mind you, I'm not sure it was hitting target. Keeper does save it, but it might have been creeping wide. Maybe the overhead shot was a better idea. So as it leaves his head, yeah, the contact isn't great. And it's definitely going wide according to the zoomed-in shot. The keeper did not need to make the save. Reeves finds Cook. Cook first time to Middleton. Middleton has space. Tries to cross. It's blocked. Henley picks up the rebound. Cuts inside. Puts the cross in with his right. Headed away by Broadbent. And Cook over the bar. Would have been an amazing goal. The Vitter's gone missing in the second half, so let's bring on Taylor. We'll drop him deeper to provide some more cover to the defence. Reeves with a free kick. Puts it in the box, but it's headed away, but only as far as O'Connor. O'Connor finds McCartan. McCartan plays it back to Taylor. Taylor gets the other space, fires a rocket, a goal, forces the goalkeeper into a save. Good play by the sub. Howdy finds Reeves. Reeves shapes for the cross, but instead he plays it back to the edge of the area to Taylor. Taylor strikes it with one half volley, but he can't keep it down. It's been lively since coming on, though. Middleton crosses, dealt with by Broadbent. Reeves heads it back into the box. McCartan wins the header, knocks down to Taylor. Taylor shoots, but it goes wide. Time for some subs. Middleton's been poor today, so let's bring on Conley. And then I think we'll put Taylor on this side, and we'll move Conley further forward. And then drop Taylor back and set him as a wide midfielder. And for the last tweak, let's drop McCartan deeper, and we'll set him as a shadow striker. Doherty with the corner, whips it into the back post, and fires it there and he scores. Where were my defenders? On the replay, we see how Conley is beaten way too easily in the air. It's not even as if it's a tall centre-back, it's a full-back. We were actually quite well set up. We've got Henley on the front post, Mello on the back, Powdy's marking the attacker lurking in the front post, Conley's got Friars at the back, and Novak and McCartan have these two Swindon players covered. The only potential issue is Woolery. Swindon had an overload on Novak and McCartan, but while they were preoccupied, he made a move into this space. Connor, who perhaps should have been marking Friars, and Reeves are shielding the 6-yard box, but they're susceptible to this ball. Woolery would have run on them, and they would struggle to compete. That's not what happens, though. He whips it into the back post, Conley switches off, and worst of all, Mello on the post makes no effort, and we may have just thrown away a win. Guessing the ref will blow the whistle when the keeper takes this. We've done nothing these last 15 minutes, expecting and hoping for a reaction, but it didn't come. And there goes the final whistle, and it's 2 points thrown away. So for team talk, I'm going to have to go with assertive. Passion doesn't work. So I'm going to say I'm not happy, and they've all reacted well apart from Davitt. Looking at the stats, it's a disappointing result. We had 15 shots to their 8. We had 2 clear-cut chances to their 1. Session was even. We had 76% of our passes completed. Been higher, but that's not bad. We won 90% of our tackles. Once again, we struggled in the air, with only 51% of our headers won. Our best player was Reeves, who had an 85% success rate and got a 6.9. Worst player was Middleton on a 6.4, who only completed 12 passes all match. If we look at Reeves and Middleton in more detail, Reeves made 2 mistakes but created a chance and 3 key passes. Middleton made 3 mistakes but created nothing. Elsewhere, Mela made 3 mistakes, which isn't unusual. More unusual is O'Connor's 3 mistakes. Would make a key pass before his injury. Cook was quiet, but did make a key pass. McCartan had a decent game with 1 chance created and 3 key passes. Surprised he only got 6.8. Novak outside the penalty contributed very little. While all but Middleton got more than 6.5, the fact that none of them could break a 7 tells you why we couldn't close this game out. So let's look at the rest of the scores. Carlisle beat Newport 3-2 and jump up 3 places to 21st. Exeter drew 0-0 with Crewe and jump up 1 place to 22nd. Leighton Orient win 2-0 against Northampton. Mansfield and Grimsby share 1-1 draw. Plymouth went to Scunthorpe and got 1-0 win. That moves Plymouth up 2 places to 3rd. And Scunthorpe moved down 1, while us and Swindon stay where we are without a 1-1 draw. Before we go, let's check in what the injury that Connor was picked up was. It's a groin strain, which will keep him out for 4 to 5 weeks. Just going to have to hope that Henley and Mellor stay fit. So next match is away at Crawley. We will be without the now injured Wooden and O'Connor, whose yellow card rules him out. On top of that, we will still be missing Donaldson, Pritchard and Richards Everton. That match will take place on Saturday 25th. at 8 p.m. BST. The entry thread for the prediction league can be found in the description below. And if you want to get involved for the first time, a link to the rules can also be found there. And finally, for those who watched both this and the last video, please let me know in the comments if you prefer the transitions with the sound or without. And with that, if you could leave this video a like, that would be much appreciated. And why not drop us a subscribe? 95% you aren't subscribed, and doing so ensures you know when next episode is out. Anyway, with that, thanks for watching and see you next time.